Hey, it's Gerald from Lakers Fast Break. Anchor is the easiest way to make your next podcast. It's absolutely free, and their creation tools will allow you to record and edit your show right from your phone or your home computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on great podcast outlets like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started on your next podcast. And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate out there everyone listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you also can like, support, follow, subscribe, whatever you can do to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, it is immensely appreciated. Just so excited that sports is coming back to us. Baseball is getting started, looking so great out there as far as sports is concerned. And here today to talk about sports coming back and her excitement for it, plus a great charity that you need to go ahead and find out more about, because it is basically something for one of the terrible diseases and syndromes that are out there, and that is Parkinson's syndrome. And if you get a chance, you want to know more about it and how to fight it and what you can do to help, please go ahead and check out teamgatewaytoacure.org. It is Jennifer Cobb. And Jennifer, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Just really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Gerald. And I just got to say, let's get ready to rumble.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited about football.
That's coming right around the corner.
I did hear that they were cutting some of the preseason games. Is that still legit? Is that still on?
That is still, preseason games they've been pretty much nixed at this point in time. I think that's a good thing. So you just go ahead, and people just want to get right to the games. And the possibility, of, especially because NFL teams are so much larger than other sports teams, the risk of contracting the coronavirus or it spreading amongst all these NFL teams, or even one NFL team is much higher.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate, but if we could just have a little taste of football and get some of the adrenaline going in all of the football enthusiasts out there, then, I think it's going to be okay.
Well, you have a background with the NFL, and
I do. So my platform's coming off the NFL field as an alumni NFL Super Bowl cheerleader with the Rams when Georgia Frontieri brought the LA Rams to St. Louis. So I was on the team inaugural season all the way to Super Bowl. I was part of the greatest team on turf. Marshall Faulk, and Kurt Warner, and Isaac Bruce, Hall of Fame this year, 2020.
There you go.
For Canton, Ohio. That's the whisper behind the scene is it's still going to take place, but who knows? Things change.
Yes.
But and so I had done quite a bit of fundraising for Michael J. Fox. My father was diagnosed with Parkinson's right around the same time when Michael went public in 1999 with the disease. And as a daughter, an adult child, just loving on my dad, I knew there had to be a way to bring Michael's resources to the forefront, to the city of St. Louis, and really raise awareness. There's over 1 million people diagnosed with Parkinson's worldwide every year. And so I wanted to learn more about it, but more importantly, I wanted to be a really good caregiver.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a cheerleader behind the scenes, how I can give my dad more hope and comfort while he goes through the disease. And so with my platform and my voice as an NFL alumni cheerleader, I thought, you know what, good for me. I'm going to use that and I started the foundation, collaborated efforts with Michael J. Fox, and who raises a lot of money for research, which is great. But then there's another side, Gerald. The other side of the disease is the caregiver support, and that's where the champ comes in. You know, I had the joy of meeting Lonnie Ali, his widow, and she was so sweet to give me a tour of the Muhammad Ali Parkinson Center out in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Mhm.
And it's connected to the Burroughs Neurological Institute. And one of the things that Mohammed's legacy is focused on is caregiver support. The coaches, the cheerleaders, the ones that are behind the scenes, making sure their foreheads are kissed, their bellies are full of food, they go to and from their doctor appointments, making sure their medicine is strategically planned with their food so their tummies don't get upset, and comforting them in the middle of the night with night terrors, and when they have freezing moments, how to adapt to that. And so it's a job, and it's a job that the caregiver has a lot of anxiety and depression, and they're overwhelmed, especially if they're a low income senior and they're caring for their loved one, or an adult child who
Yeah.
I'm caring for my children, also caring for my father.
Yeah.
And so there's this huge demand for support. And so now the insurance companies are recognizing the caregivers as the second patient. And so they're putting different support groups in hospitals, and different YMCAs are now starting to have support groups for the caregivers, because they also go through what you and I and everyone out there had a little taste during quarantine. That's their life.
Yeah.
Every day. The doors aren't knocking, the bells aren't ringing, and the phone's not jingling. So who comes and checks on them? It's very sad and lonely. And so they have to have support so they can be the best version of them to support the one going through the disease.
And you talked about meeting the widow of Muhammad Ali and the fact that she was a caregiver for so long. The same
Yes.
thing with Michael J. Fox when he became the face of Parkinson's when he announced it in 1999. His wife,
Yep.
who was a former actress herself, she became that caregiver for him in many ways. And that's something that's not talked about enough. And like you said, your foundation helps recognize that. And like you said, insurance companies now take notice of this, and that's a great cause.
Thank you. And, you know, I think raising the awareness and educating the caregivers on how they can be the best support. You know, many times I get asked when I speak at caregiver conferences is, you know, Jen, how can I let go of the emotional past? So, for instance, why should I take care of my dad? He never showed up for any of my football games and none of my practices. And now he's sick and he wants me to stop what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a company. I've got kids I got to take care of. And now he wants me to stop my life to take care of him. And so, how do you let go of the emotional history and trauma bond with others that are going through it and really meet the person where they're at?
And
The
that's
person that is dealing with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, concussion, ALS, stroke, MS, whatever the brain disease is, they're not the same person, Gerald, that they were 20, 30 years ago.
And you talked about this. I mean, you're dealing with brain injuries, and obviously Parkinson's is one of them. But you come from an industry that is more aware than ever about head trauma and the long-lasting effects from that, and how it needs to be treated going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that the caregiver recognizes the different changes in the brain, and how to help give them hope and comfort instead of turning the other way and not being the support that that person needs.
Yeah.
Because many times you are selfish. You have selfish tendencies. We're all human. And you know, you get exhausted because you have so many other accolades and things that you're trying to do in your life. And so, how do you take that selfishness and put it on a shelf and support that person 100%? And so, on the foundation's website, teamgatewaytoacure.org, you can go on and get all kinds of different ideas. Gerald, there are a million ways to be a good caregiver.
Yeah.
Just like there's a million ways to be a good mom, a million ways to be a good dad. Does people really, really not know how to be a good caregiver? It's not complicated. It's very simple. If you live far away, we have the technology now. Look at you and I.
Of course.
FaceTime, even if it's for a couple of minutes. Send an email, a text, maybe a video. If you don't want to talk to the person, I'm thinking of you. Let me know if there's anything you can do. If you can't send a meal, you can't make a meal and drop it off, there's Uber Eats. You can order a meal for $5, $6, $7 and have it delivered. I mean, like I said, there's just a million ways. And I think it really speaks volumes to the person who lets go of the emotional history and meets the person where they're at, and to love them and just give them hope and comfort.
This is Raphael from NBADraftJunkies.com, and you are listening to the Lakers Fast Break.
Hey Lakers fans, looking for the best place to go for up-to-date news, information, original videos, articles, podcasts, opinion pieces, and discussions about the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, look no further than Lakerholics.com. With a legion of followers always there talking about everything Lakers and the NBA, there's no better place to go to share your fandom as the team heads toward another championship run. So stop by and be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.com. Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
That is by far my favorite because it's also character driven and the stakes are high and there's much more of a mystery and intrigue to it.
A game like Wolfenstein, which people are saying are one of the most socially important video games of the past 10 years.
Catch our shows on radio worldwide 7 days a week or at any time on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on over 30 more podcast outlets. And again, if you really want to go ahead and find out more and hopefully become a volunteer or donate or support in any way, shape, or form, please go ahead to teamgatewaytoacure.org.
Teamgatewaytoacure.org. Jennifer Cobb. Reach out to me. I answer all my emails. I'm also part of co-producing a documentary movie. There's a trailer you can watch about that. And also in the early stages of starting a book, Parkison's Sons and Daughters. It's the story of caregivers, of different high-profile public figures, about the stories as they see through their eyes as a caregiver. And so as we continue to share our stories, I think that the most important thing that I want to get across is to share my story so that it would impact others to do the same. Mm-hmm. And to give hope and comfort back to their loved ones.
Oh, that's nice. That's awesome. Again, whatever you can do to support, please help them out today. Teamgatewaytoacure.org. But before we go ahead and head on out, Jennifer, I want to ask you, again, aren't you excited for sports? You said the NFL, it's coming right around the corner. Are you excited about the fact that, we will be having football in some shape or form?
Oh, I am so delighted. I cannot even stand it. Football is so much fun to watch. And, every year in October, they bring us back the alumni cheerleaders on the field for Cheer for a Cure. And it's the same game where you see all the players in their pink socks and shoes and pink gloves, and we're in our pink uniforms and cheering for a cure. I don't know if you're aware of this, Gerald, but the passing of Georgia Frontieri of breast cancer was the reason for the start of Cheer for the Cure, which is great. So it's raising awareness for breast cancer. And the NFL has just done a remarkable, raising so much money and awareness for all of the cancer survivors and people that are battling with this terrible disease. But again, on the flip side, there's a caregiver that is battling either cancer or has gone through it or is caring for somebody that is going through it. I think it's really important that we all come together and support each other.
Absolutely. And like you've said before, the NFL has done a great job of supporting breast cancer awareness. Like I said, the pink uniforms. And we've seen this with other sports as well. But the NFL has really taken a forefront when it comes to fighting, or at least making people aware of the fight against breast cancer.
Yeah, they have done such a wonderful job and really heightened the awareness. But they've also have been nothing but supportive with my foundation that I founded 4 years ago, Team Gateway to a Cure. And my foundation would not be where it's at today if it wasn't for the support from the NFL, the players, alumni, cheerleaders, and just everyone that has helped Team Gateway to a Cure get to where it's at today.
I'll tell you what, I'm just so thankful that you're going ahead and doing such great work with Team Gateway to a Cure. I mean, for someone out there who knows people directly in the past that have been affected adversely by Parkinson syndrome, I'm just so grateful that you're out there, you're fighting the good fight, you're helping those adversely affected by Parkinson's disease, but again, the caregivers, which are so important to this cause as well.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, I truly appreciate you being on. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And again, where can they go if they need any more information on Team Gateway and on all the great stuff that you do?
Yeah, teamgatewaytoacure.org.
Well, there you go. There you go.
On Facebook and LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Sounds good indeed. Once again, it's Jennifer Cobb from Team Gateway. Please be a part of the great organization by either volunteering, donating, or any type of support you can give at teamgatewaytoacure.org.
Thanks, Gerald.
Thank you so much once again, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.